I am Ethan, and tonight we will embark on a fascinating exploration of the lost continent of Mu. Journey through the origins of this enduring myth, its fascinating influence on popular culture, and the compelling evidence both supporting and challenging its existence. Before we begin our journey tonight, let's take time to relax and let go of the stresses of the day. Allow your body to sink into the mattress beneath you. Here and now, there are no obligations, no to-do lists. By simply lying in bed with your eyes closed, you are already giving your body nourishing rest. Let's bring gentle awareness to your breath. Notice the natural rhythm without trying to change it. Simply observe as your chest rises and falls. Now, we'll explore a calming breathing pattern. Inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4. Hold briefly, and exhale through your mouth for a count of 6. And again. As you continue this pattern, imagine your breath as a gentle wave washing through your body. With each inhale, picture cool, refreshing air filling your lungs. With each exhale, feel warmth spreading outward from your core to your fingertips and toes. Imagine each exhale carrying away any remaining tension or worries, dissolving them into the night air. Your body grows heavier with each breath, melting deeper into comfort. As you drift towards sleep, know that your breath will continue its gentle work, bringing fresh energy to every cell even as you dream. The simple act of conscious breathing has activated your body's natural relaxation response. Your only task now is to surrender to this healing rhythm, allowing yourself to be cradled by your own breath, as it guides you across the threshold into peaceful, restorative sleep. And now, we can begin tonight's discovery. Beneath the shimmering waters of the Pacific, where sunlight dances on endless waves, sleeps a forgotten paradise. Ancient mariners spoke of it in whispers, a golden realm swallowed by the hungry sea. Mu, they called it, motherland of humankind, where temples of crystal caught the first light of dawn and the wisdom of the stars flowed like water. The land of Mu was blessed with mountains that reached toward the heavens and valleys teeming with life. At its heart stood 7 great cities, each built around a pyramid-like temple. The greatest of these cities was the sacred city, where Ramu, the emperor of the sun, resided. Its central pyramid, faced with polished red stone that blazed like fire, rose in 7 terraces. At its summit stood a temple of gold and crystal that captured the first rays of dawn, channeling this energy into a beacon visible for hundreds of miles. The streets radiated from the central pyramid like rays of the sun, their patterns mirroring the constellations above. When viewed from the temple heights, the city below formed a perfect map of the night sky, with major intersections marking the positions of sacred stars. The buildings were marvels of engineering, massive stone blocks fitted with such precision that no mortar was needed. Many were faced with polished obsidian or rare metals that glinted in the sunlight. Even the humblest dwelling would have been considered a palace by today's standards. The people of Mu were tall and graceful, with skin the color of burnished copper. They wore garments dyed in brilliant colors, adorned with gold that served not as symbols of wealth, but as conductors of cosmic energy. Upon their foreheads, the highest adepts wore the symbol of the third eye, a reminder of their connection to higher realms of consciousness. Their society was governed by universal understanding of cosmic law. The teachings were inscribed on golden tablets in the sacred temples, written in a language of symbols rather than words. These Nakul tablets contained knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and spirituality. At the head of their society stood Ra-Mu, the Emperor of the Sun. Both an emperor and high priest, he was able to communicate directly with the divine creator. With 12 wise elders, he guided the people according to the 7 great commands, principles that fostered peace and advancement. In Mu, there was no war, for violence was understood as the symptom of ignorance. The people of Mu were not restricted to their own continent. In fact, they were master navigators who sailed great vessels with distinctive triangular sails of crimson cloth. They established colonies and shared their knowledge with distant lands: Egypt, India, the Americas. All were touched by Mu's enlightening influence. It was an empire built not through conquest, but through wisdom. In their temples, sciences were practiced that modern minds would consider miraculous. Priests healed with a touch, communicated across vast distances through thought, and raised massive stones using sound vibrations. They had perfected the science of consciousness itself, exploring inner realms as methodically as they mapped the physical world. For thousands of years, Mu flourished. Yet despite their advancement, pride crept into their hearts. The pursuit of power replaced the pursuit of wisdom. As their spiritual connection dimmed, the people turned increasingly to material pleasures. The warning signs came first from the earth itself, tremors that grew stronger with each moon cycle. In the temples, priests received visions of coming destruction, but their warnings fell on deaf ears. Then came the cataclysm. Great volcanoes awakened, darkening the once perfect skies. On the final night, as the full moon rose blood red over the sacred city, the emperor gathered the faithful for one last ceremony. As the earth shook beneath them, Ramu prophesied, "You shall all die together with your riches, and from your ashes new nations shall arise." The earth split open, swallowing entire cities. The sea rushed in to claim what fire had not destroyed. In 3 days and nights, the great land of Mu sank beneath the waves, leaving only scattered islands to mark what had once been. But not all was lost. Some had departed on great ships, carrying with them the sacred tablets. These survivors reached distant shores, becoming the seed of new civilizations, preserving fragments of Mu wisdom in their myths and monuments. Today, sailors speak of strange lights dancing on calm waters at dusk, of phantom islands that appear and vanish with the mist. Some claim that in the deepest meditation, one can still hear the crystal bells of the temples ringing across time itself. Is this merely the echo of an ancient story, or whispers of a truth waiting to be discovered? Unlike Atlantis, which emerged from the philosophical dialogues of Plato, the legend of Mu has more recent origins. It was born in the fertile intellectual soil of the late 19th century, a time when Western explorers were uncovering ancient ruins in distant lands and struggling to explain the sophisticated civilizations that had created them. The first threads of the Mu tapestry were woven by Auguste Le Plongeon, a French-American physician turned archaeologist who arrived in the Yucatan Peninsula in 1873. Accompanied by his wife Alice, Le Plongeon was among the first to photograph and document the majestic Maya ruins at Chichen Itza and Uxmal. What set Le Plongeon apart was not merely his documentation, but his ambitious interpretation. After years studying Maya hieroglyphs, he made the extraordinary claim to have deciphered their meaning, a feat that other scholars had yet to accomplish. According to Le Plongeon, these ancient texts told of a lost civilization that had preceded both the Maya and the Egyptians. Le Plongeon built his theory around the ruins of Uxmal, where he became fixated on a sculpture he identified as Queen Mu. In his 1896 book, Queen Mu and the Egyptian Sphinx, he proposed that this queen had fled a catastrophic deluge that destroyed her homeland, a land he called Mu. According to Le Plongeon, Queen Mu had sailed to Egypt, bringing with her the seeds of civilization that would blossom along the Nile. In Le Plongeon's imaginative framework, Mu had been a vast continent in the Atlantic Ocean, and the Maya were its direct descendants who had preserved its ancient wisdom. While his theories found little favor with mainstream archaeologists, they caught the attention of occultists and alternative thinkers, including one man who would transform Le Plongeon's obscure notion into a fully realized lost world, James Churchward. If Le Plongeon planted the seed, it was Colonel James Churchward who cultivated it into a flourishing mythology. Born in England in 1851, Churchward had served in the British Army in India, where his remarkable story begins. According to Churchward's own account, while stationed in India in the 1880s, he befriended a Hindu priest who revealed to him a collection of ancient clay tablets. These Nakal tablets, as Churchward called them, were allegedly written in a mysterious language from a forgotten continent. The priest, whom Churchward never named, supposedly taught him how to read this ancient script over a period of 2 years. The tale that emerged from these tablets, at least as Churchward told it, was astonishing. They spoke of Mu, a vast Pacific continent that had been home to an advanced civilization long before recorded history. Unlike Le Plongeon's Atlantic Mu, Churchward's version stretched across the Pacific, from the Marianas to Easter Island, encompassing nearly 10 million square miles. It wasn't until 1926, when Churchward was in his 70s, that he published The Lost Continent of Mu, the first of 5 books he would write on the subject. The work became an unexpected success, tapping into the public's fascination with lost civilizations and ancient mysteries. Churchward followed it with The Children of Mu in 1931, The Sacred Symbols of Mu in 1933, and other volumes that expanded his elaborate mythology. In Churchward's telling, Mu was no primitive society, but the very cradle of human civilization, predating all known cultures. He claimed it had been home to an astonishing 64 million people, organized into 10 tribes under a single government. The Mu people, he wrote, had mastered sciences and technologies that would still be considered advanced today. Churchward described a society that harnessed cosmic energy, built airships, understood atomic theory, and possessed spiritual wisdom that connected them directly to the divine. They had colonized vast regions of the earth, establishing outposts that would later become the great civilizations of Egypt, India, Babylon, Peru, and Mexico. According to Churchward, the symbols and myths of all these cultures could be traced back to Mu's sacred teachings. According to Churchward, Mu's catastrophic end came approximately 12,000 years ago, when massive gas chambers beneath the continent collapsed during a volcanic eruption. Churchward claimed that Mu broke to pieces and sank beneath the waves in a single night, killing all but a few survivors who carried their knowledge to distant lands. As evidence, Churchward pointed to megalithic structures across the Pacific Islands, similarities in ancient symbology worldwide, and what he claimed were mistranslations of ancient texts. To understand why Churchward's fantastic claims found such a receptive audience, we must consider the culture of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. This was an era of unprecedented exploration and discovery. Western archaeologists were unearthing the splendors of ancient Egypt, discovering the ruins of Mesopotamia, and puzzling over the monumental architecture of Mesoamerica. These findings challenged the Eurocentric view of civilization's development and raised questions about how seemingly isolated cultures had developed similar technologies and beliefs. Simultaneously, colonial expansion had brought Westerners into contact with cultures whose sophisticated philosophical systems and ancient monuments defied easy explanation. Rather than attribute these achievements to the indigenous peoples themselves, many Westerners found it more palatable to credit a superior, lost civilization. The period also saw the rise of theosophy and similar spiritual movements that sought to blend Eastern and Western esoteric traditions. Helena Blavatsky, founder of the Theosophical Society, had already popularized the concept of Lemuria, another lost continent, in her book, The Secret Doctrine. The idea of ancient, spiritually advanced civilizations aligned perfectly with theosophical beliefs about humanity's hidden history. Perhaps most importantly, this was a time when scientific understanding was rapidly evolving, challenging traditional religious narratives. Darwin's theory of evolution had shaken the foundations of biblical literalism, creating a hunger for alternative origin stories. Mu offered a secular creation myth, a way to explain human achievements without relying on divine intervention or the slow processes of evolution. While geologists and archaeologists dismissed Churchward's claims, the story of Mu had already escaped the confines of academic debate. What began as one man's interpretation of ancient texts was about to embark on a remarkable journey of transformation, finding unexpected parallels in indigenous traditions, merging with spiritual movements, captivating artists and writers, and eventually evolving into something far more significant than a disputed theory about a lost continent. Like all powerful myths, Mu addressed the needs of its time, and in doing so, planted seeds that would continue to flower in ways Churchward himself could never have imagined. Perhaps the most complex aspect of Mu's evolution is its relationship with authentic Pacific Islander traditions. While Churchward largely created his version of Mu from imagination, many Pacific cultures do indeed possess ancient stories of lost or submerged lands. Throughout Polynesia, reaction myths speak of ancestral homelands from which their ancestors journeyed. The Hawaiians have stories of Kahikiku, an ancestral land at the edge of the sky. Maori traditions tell of Hawaii, the distant homeland from which their ancestors sailed to reach New Zealand. These stories reflect the remarkable maritime history of Pacific peoples who navigated vast oceanic distances using sophisticated knowledge of stars, currents, and wave patterns. Their ancestral homelands were real places, other islands from which they had migrated over generations of voyaging. But as these stories passed through oral tradition, some homelands took on mythical dimensions, becoming places of spiritual rather than merely geographical significance. Western writers like Churchward appropriated these traditions, reinterpreting them as evidence for their own theories about lost continents. This appropriation obscured the genuine historical value of Pacific navigation traditions and origin stories. While Churchward was developing his ideas about Mu, another lost continent had already captured the imagination of spiritual seekers, Lemuria. This hypothetical landmass was first proposed by zoologist Philip Sclater in 1864 to explain the distribution of lemur fossils across Africa, Madagascar, and India. What began as a scientific theory was transformed when Helena Blavatsky, founder of the Theosophical Society, incorporated Lemuria into her spiritual cosmology. The similarities between Blavatsky's Lemuria and Churchward's Mu led to frequent confusion and merging of the two ideas. By the mid-20th century, many occult writers used the terms interchangeably, creating a composite lost continent that combined elements from both traditions. This Mu-Lemuria hybrid became a fixture in esoteric literature, representing a lost golden age of spiritual advancement and harmony with cosmic forces. While spiritual seekers explored Mu's esoteric dimensions, the lost continent found another life in popular culture, beginning with the pulp fiction boom of the 1920s and 1930s. Adventure stories set on lost islands or hidden Pacific kingdoms frequently drew inspiration from Churchward's Mu, offering readers exotic escapism during the challenging years of the Great Depression. H.P. Lovecraft, master of cosmic horror, incorporated Mu into his expanding mythology. In In stories like Out of the Aeons, Lovecraft mentioned Mu as one of several prehistoric civilizations that had communed with terrifying extraterrestrial entities. Comic books soon followed, with Mu appearing in superhero adventures from the 1940s onward. The Lost Continent offered a convenient origin for exotic villains, hidden treasures, and ancient technologies far beyond modern science. This pattern continued into film, television, and video games, where Mu frequently appears as a setting that blends advanced technology with mystical wisdom. The New Age movement of the late 20th century breathed fresh life into Mu, reinterpreting the lost continent through the lens of emerging spiritual practices. Beginning in the 1970s, psychics claimed to receive messages from beings who had once inhabited Mu. These communications often described Mu as a civilization that had mastered crystal technologies, energy healing, and meditation techniques that modern seekers could reclaim. Mu became integrated into crystal healing practices, with certain stones said to carry Mu vibrations or connect practitioners to the wisdom of Mu priests and priestesses. Meditation retreats offered journeys to reconnect with your Mu heritage. In these New Age interpretations, the physical existence of Mu became almost secondary to its spiritual significance. Whether or not a continent had actually sunk beneath the Pacific became less important than what Mu represented. A symbol of humanity's forgotten potential, of harmonious living, of connection to cosmic wisdom. Mu was transformed from a questionable historical theory into a metaphor for spiritual awakening and ecological harmony. While Mu has flourished as a cultural phenomenon and spiritual concept, its believers have never stopped searching for physical evidence of its existence. The latter half of the 20th century and the early 21st century have seen numerous attempts to find archaeological and geological support for this elusive lost continent. These modern investigations reveal the fascinating tension between myth-making and scientific inquiry. Perhaps the most frequently cited evidence for Mu comes from underwater formations discovered throughout the Pacific. The most famous of these is the Yonaguni Monument off the coast of Japan, a massive underwater rock formation featuring what appear to be terraces, steps, and right angles. Discovered by dive tour operator Kihachiro Aratake in 1987, the structure immediately attracted attention from alternative archaeologists who suggested it might be a remnant of Mu. Masaki Kimura, a marine geologist from the University of the Ryukyus, has spent decades studying the monument and believes it shows signs of human modification, potentially dating back 10,000 years or more. However, most mainstream geologists, including Robert Schoch of Boston University, contend that the formations can be explained by natural processes of fracturing and erosion acting on the sandstone, a type of rock known to break along straight lines and at right angles. Similar underwater features have been identified near Tahiti, Hawaii, and other Pacific islands, each sparking brief excitement followed by geological explanations. On land, the truly extraordinary megalithic site of Nan Madol in Micronesia continues to inspire Mu theorists. This ancient city built on artificial islands consists of massive basalt logs stacked in a distinctive crisscross pattern. Constructed between 1200 to 1500 CE by the Saudeleur dynasty, its engineering sophistication has led some to suggest it was influenced by or built upon an earlier Mu outpost. Mainstream archaeology, however, recognizes it as an impressive but thoroughly human achievement by Micronesian builders, requiring no lost continent to explain its existence. Another line of evidence pursued by Mu enthusiasts involves claimed linguistic connections across the Pacific. Proponents point to similarities between Easter Island's Rongorongo script, certain Indus Valley symbols, and various Pacific Island motifs as evidence of a common Mu origin. Perhaps no Pacific archaeological site has generated more speculation than Easter Island, with its nearly 1,000 monolithic moai statues. The scale and number of these sculptures on a tiny, remote island have led many to suggest they represent the last vestiges of Mu's superior artistic talents. The reality, revealed through rigorous archaeological work, is no less impressive. The moai were carved between approximately 1250 and 1500 CE by Polynesian settlers using stone tools. The logistics of moving these massive statues, averaging 13 feet tall and weighing 14 tons, was accomplished through a combination of log rollers, ropes, and human labor. While this explanation lacks the mystery of a lost continent, it highlights something perhaps more remarkable: the ingenuity and determination of humankind to create beauty. Advances in technology have allowed unprecedented exploration of the Pacific seafloor. Multi-beam sonar, satellite altimetry, and underwater archaeology have mapped the Pacific in remarkable detail, revealing seamounts, underwater volcanoes, and ancient shorelines submerged since the last ice age, when sea levels were approximately 400 feet lower than today. These explorations have uncovered genuine underwater cities, but none older than a few thousand years, and all located in coastal areas that were once above sea level. In the deep Pacific, while many fascinating geological formations have been found, nothing suggests the presence of a sunken continent or an advanced prehistoric civilization. It seems that the search for Mu reveals more about ourselves than the finding of it. The legend of Mu endures because powerful myths serve essential purposes. They offer us mystery in an age of algorithms and data. They challenge us to imagine, to rekindle a childlike wonder within ourselves. The legend of Mu persists not because we might find it on ocean floors, but because we find it within ourselves. In our endless fascination with lost beginnings and our quest to understand our place in the cosmos. I hope you enjoyed tonight's journey, and it has brought you a night of peaceful, restful sleep. Please join me again tomorrow night for another sleep story. Until then, sweet dreams.